I actually think, I don't know if you agree with me on this. I think that a lot of people forget, they think marketing is just going to replace sales and they think all I need to do is marketing, but I don't need to do sales because I don't like it.
That is so true, Louise. And it's funny because it does depend on what it is you're selling. If you have a very low ticket item, you're selling something for $10. Yeah, you can put a buy now button. Some people will probably buy it. However, if you're selling a higher ticket item, you have a $25,000 coaching program, I can pretty much guarantee nobody's just going to click on a buy now button. You're going to have to talk to them.
Welcome to the Social Media Takeaway. I'm your host, Louise McDonald, and this is the show for business people that want to know how to use social media more effectively to drive sales and leads for their business. If you enjoy the show, please make sure you subscribe. And if you know any friends or business colleagues who may benefit from this episode, please make sure that you share it with them. So today I am delighted to be joined by Wendy Wise. Wendy is the founder of Salesology and the creator of the Salesology Prospecting Method that generates predictable sales revenue. She is an author, speaker, sales trainer, and sales coach, and is recognized as a leading authority on lead generation, new business development, and sales. You're very welcome to the show, Wendy.
Thank you for having me, Louise.
The first question I want to ask you, a lot of the time I feel there's a little bit of confusion around the difference between marketing, advertising, and sales. But I think people don't really know how they differ or when you should use what. Would you like to maybe start off by giving us a little your take on it?
That is a really great question. I'll start with sales since that's my area of expertise. Sales is talking to people. You have to actually talk to them. You have to have that in-depth conversation. Marketing is a communication. It's one communication to many. You're getting your message out there to as many people as you can possibly reach. Sales is having a conversation with one person at a time and then having the conversation with the next person. Advertising is a part of marketing, except you have to pay for it.
Yeah, completely. Yeah. And I actually think, I don't know if you agree with me on this. I think that a lot of people forget, they think marketing is just going to replace sales and they think all I need to do is marketing, but I don't need to do sales because I don't like it.
That is so true, Louise. And it's funny because it does depend on what it is you're selling. If you have a very low ticket item, you're selling something for $10. Yeah, you can put a buy now button. Some people will probably buy it. However, if you're selling a higher ticket item, you have a $25,000 coaching program, I can pretty much guarantee nobody's just going to click on a buy now button. You're going to have to talk to them.
People don't like sales, so they don't like putting themselves outside their comfort zone. So is that why you developed your method, your prospecting method?
It's part of the reason. My first career was never supposed to be a sales trainer. I was actually supposed to be a ballerina. And my first career was I danced with Pittsburgh Ballet Theater and I danced with the Cincinnati Ballet. And I feel like everything I know in life and business, I learned in ballet class. And I use a very simple 3-step model based on what I learned in ballet class to teach prospecting, to teach business development. And I find that for most people, they're afraid of it because they're not sure what to do or what's going to happen. And for most people, I find once they have a very step-by-step system and they know what they're doing every step along the path, a lot of that fear goes away.
I can imagine. So talk us through how somebody would go about prospecting, getting more calls booked.
Getting more calls booked. This is what I learned in ballet class. 3 steps. If you are a dancer and you have a concert coming up, you don't just run out on stage and start dancing. You have to warm up. You have to get set up to do what you need to do so that you don't have a career-ending injury. If you want to sell, you want to book more calls, there are things you need to have in place for yourself so that you don't hurt yourself and you don't hurt your bottom line. And if you want to hire salespeople, because I hear this all the time, oh, I want to hire salespeople. Great. There are things you need to have in place for them so they don't hurt themselves, they don't hurt you, and they don't hurt your bottom line. So step 1 is to put these things in place, and I can break it down further, but this is step 1. Warm up so you don't have a career-ending injury, a business-ending injury. Step 2, if you're a ballet dancer and you have a concert coming up, you don't just run out on stage and start dancing. You have been rehearsing for months. And the great Russian ballerina Anna Pavlova Pavlova very famously said, "No one arrives from talent alone. Work transforms talent into genius." Now, Anna Pavlova was the first ballerina to tour the world with her own company. She also trained for many years at the Imperial Russian Ballet School before she joined the Imperial Russian Ballet or toured the world or did anything that she did. She learned her craft. Sales is a craft. It's not one of my pet peeves. The born salesperson does not exist. It is a learned communication skill. Step 2, learn your craft. So we've got step 1, warm up, put the things in place you need to have in place so you don't hurt yourself and you don't hurt your bottom line. Step 2, rehearse, learn your craft. Step 3, then and only then is it time to perform. The problem is that most people skip steps 1 and 2 and they just run out there on stage. They have that career fall down. They have that career-ending injury, terrible performance, bad reviews. It doesn't work. So that is my 3-step model for prospecting for sales. Warm up so you don't hurt yourself. Understand what you need to have in place. Step 2, learn your craft. Step 3, then you execute.
Okay, so see that I'm just understanding this properly. So step 1 is you get all the things in place. So it's not like you're preparing. You're getting ready. You're getting to learn about the person that you're going to be speaking to. You're going to learn everything about them so that you can have a conversation with them. Is step 2 then like making sure that you have rehearsed enough so that you're comfortable in the sales call? And step 3 then is about delivery. Would that be? Am I anyway?
More or less. I would go back even further because step 1 is really about understanding your market and so you want to be very specific about who it is that you serve, what makes a great lead for you in your market with your offering, and then what are the challenges, the problems, the business problems that they have that you can fix. How do you help the people that you serve? You've got to be very clear about that right from the get-go, because spending a lot of time speaking with people that are not a great fit for you is just not a good use of your time, and you're not going to sell anything. What describes a great lead for you in your market with your offering? How are you helping them? What's the problem they have that you can fix? How did they talk about it? What is your message to these people that you can help? Our message is building rainmakers. That's what we do. We teach people to find great opportunities so that they can grow their sales and grow their business. So what is your message to your market? So these are all things that you have to figure out before you start talking to people.
Yes.
Step 2, rehearse, learn your craft. Once you know who you're talking to, what are those challenges they have? What is your message? Then yes, you do have to practice it. What are the questions you're going to ask them to make 100% sure that you can help them? How are you going to explain what you do in a way that they understand it? And so these are all things. This is when I say learn your craft. Sales is a communication skill. It is not intuitive. Nobody is born knowing how to do this. And just to be clear, I am not a born salesperson. I am a really lucky person because when I was dancing all those years ago, I needed a day job, and I got a day job where somebody taught me this skill set. A born salesperson, forget about it. It's a communication skill. You need to learn to communicate your value.
So true.
And then once you've done those 2 things, then you can start talking to prospects. Nobody really cares what you do. Nobody cares. They care how they're going to be better off when you finish.
They care what you can do for them. I always say as well that you market online, but you sell offline. And the goal of using social media isn't necessarily to drive sales. It's the role of social media is to find those opportunities to generate sales. People say, oh, but you don't use social media to drive sales. No, of course you do. If you go to social media thinking, oh, I'm just going to use it for awareness, then you're never giving yourself the goal of actually finding opportunities to have sales conversations. So,
Absolutely.
so
You gotta get them out of LinkedIn.
you got to get them.
Zoom call.
Yeah, you got to get them from your news feed to your inbox, and then from there to a call. So when people are sitting down, having a sales conversation with someone, having a conversation with somebody, have you any tips, or if any things that people do wrong or they should avoid, or any tips that you could offer?
Absolutely. That's another great question. My favorite question to ask, and I always ask this first, however I got to that conversation with a prospect, whether I cold called them, because I actually will do cold call, or if I met them on LinkedIn or some other way, the very first question I always ask is, what's going on that made you reach out to me on LinkedIn? Or what was it about the conversation we were having on LinkedIn that made you decide we should talk? Or what was it when I cold called you? What was it that I said? What's going on that made you decide that we should talk? Because I want to know why we're talking. That's always, to me, that's always step one.
That's a great question.
And I think the biggest mistake that people make is they just talk too much. Come up with some really great questions. Like I said, that's always some version of that is my first question. Why are we talking? And put together some questions so that you can learn about that person's situation, why they wanted to talk to you, so you can figure out if you can actually help them. Some people might reach out to you on LinkedIn and say, I really want to talk to you. And it turns out you can't help them. That does happen. How are you going to figure that out? Ask your questions and then shut up. Listen to the answer.
Another thing I say to people as well is sometimes you may ask a question of somebody and they may have to think about their answer. So they may not know the answer at the tip of their tongue. And so there's going to be a bit of silence because you have to give them time to think about what they're going to say. And I always say, don't fill the silence with your voice. Let there be silence and give them an opportunity to think and then reply.
That's great advice. And I also tell people, my clients, if they've asked a question and they're getting an answer, count to 10 in your head before you say anything because you want to make sure they're done.
So true. Yeah, so true. Yeah. And I was going to ask you as well about, you have a great tool in your toolkit, the Salesology Prospecting Tool. So this is amazing. Can you tell everybody what your gift is?
Absolutely. We put together, it is a very comprehensive guide to prospecting for new business, for finding opportunities. And we've broken it down in such a way that if you are a business owner, you're a solopreneur, you're doing it yourself, you can use this guide to set yourself up to be very successful at ferreting out those new opportunities and setting up those conversations. And if you want to hire salespeople, it will help you set yourself up to be able to do that so that you'll have all the things in place for the people that you want to hire. Because the last thing that you want to do is hire someone, pay them, they cost you a lot of money and produce absolutely nothing. So if you have a system in place, it will help you do that. And then if you do already have salespeople, this guide will help you make them far more productive.
That sounds brilliant. So yeah, Salesology Prospecting Toolkit. Unlock the secrets of effortless sales and increase productivity with this cool toolkit. So yes, I know that's your gift for us. So that is absolutely wonderful. And we'll have that in the show notes and we'll have it in all the links and so we'll have that everywhere. Do you see any trends happening now? Anything that has changed? Anything you've noticed in the last few years that's changed maybe post-COVID or with the whole AI thing? Where do you see it going, Wendy?
That is a great question. And it's so interesting to me because as somebody, I do cold call. I have business development people that cold call on my behalf. And we teach some of our clients to cold call. And I know that's a very scary thing for a lot of our listeners to think of picking up the phone and talking to somebody that you don't know. However, it's actually not very scary. You can learn how to do it. But the thing that's really interesting to me is that before COVID, fewer and fewer people were picking up the phone. It was harder to have conversations, to reach people. And that's still true. It can be hard to reach people. But the thing you need to know is far fewer people are doing it. Before COVID, you could call a prospect and that prospect could very well say to you, do you know how many salespeople called me today? I can guarantee you no one will say that to you today. If you pick up the phone and you call your prospect, you will be the only person that called them that day. Guaranteed. But here's the thing. This is also a communication skill. It can be learned. And it's in knowing how to introduce yourself. It's the same thing on LinkedIn and social media. All those spammy connection requests and messages you get on LinkedIn, it's the same thing. It's not a good message. If you have to send out hundreds of messages and nobody responds, what you are saying in your message doesn't work. If you are picking up the phone and calling prospects and everybody that you talk to says, I'm not interested and hangs up on you, what you are saying does not work. You need to say something else. I think people are hungry for that human being to human being connection. And the phone gives you that, a Zoom call gives you that, and going to see someone gives you that.
So true. So true. Thank you so much for coming on the show. If people want to find you on, where do you hang out?
Well, thank you for asking. Our website is gosalesology.com. So please come visit us at gosalesology.com. And also, you can find me on LinkedIn, and that's our main social media channel. And in addition, please look for my podcast, Salesology Conversations with Sales Leaders, wherever you get your podcasts.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. I know there's a lot to think about in this episode when it comes to sales. And at the end of the day, none of your marketing is going to be successful unless you integrate sales into your strategy. Because at the end of the day, as I said, we market online, but we sell offline. And if we don't sell, and we can use social media to sell, we can use social media to increase our bottom line. And thank you so much for coming on and sharing all your advice.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me, Louise. And I'm visualizing everyone in our audience surrounded by cash, really large bills.
Me too. Thank you. That's it, everyone. That's another episode of the Social Media Takeaway. If you have some feedback, make sure that you tag us on social media. You'll find me under Sell on Social M, or on LinkedIn, you'll find me under Louise McDonald. I'd love to hear your feedback and what you thought about the show. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss out on any future episodes. And if you know anyone who may be interested, be sure to share the show with them too. Thanks, everyone.